Okay, we've got lots of UFO news to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack in Baxter in Ben with Cosmic Road. Please hit like and subscribe and share on social media and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, to start with, more and more people are talking about the Langley drone situation, the UFOs over Langley Air Force Base and other Air Force bases and military facilities. Now we have retired General, Lieutenant General Newton chiming in on News Nation. Let's give a listen.
Richard Newton, former U.S. Air Force Assistant Vice Chief of Staff and News Nation senior national security contributor. First of all, any guesses as to what these are? The Pentagon saying non-hostile.
Well, good morning, Marnie. You used the right word. This is probably the more bizarre stories you and I have covered over the last couple of years. Let me say also, when I oversaw global operations on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, part of my portfolio was then what we termed unmanned aerial vehicles and so forth. Secretary Rumsfeld, we used to say, you know, there are unknown unknowns and known unknowns. I think this put it in the known unknown category. There's still, the Pentagon's is still they're being very forthcoming. They don't know. They don't know the sources of these. I suspect, I've talked, my sources tell me that I don't believe it's someone who's a hobbyist per se, because these were rather fairly complex drone operations during the nighttime over 17 days, as you mentioned, back in December. And they were flying at 100 miles an hour. Some of them were in formation. They varied their approach to the base, not only over Langley Air Force Base. By the way, Langley's a huge Air Force installation. I've flown in and out of Langley. It's the home of the F-22 stealth fighter. But also they flew near or over the largest naval port there over in Norfolk across the bay. So very complex. And I don't think the Pentagon has any answers on this one, Marnie.
Yeah, at least not that they're saying, which Marnie points out as well. The Lieutenant General also goes on to say that by law, they are unable to shoot at drones over military bases. Unless they're hostile, unless they're overtly hostile, they're not allowed to shoot at drones. Now, is this because they're afraid they're going to fall on civilians? Maybe. I'm not satisfied with that explanation for these incursions over military bases. I don't know if they're able to shoot them down. Maybe they're UFOs from allies or enemies that are known to them, and for whatever reason they don't think it's prudent to shoot them down. It's very interesting that the Pentagon is saying that they are not hostile, because a lot of people think the Pentagon is pushing the threat narrative. Then maybe they are. That could very well be something that we are watching play out in real time. However, they are not pushing the threat narrative with these drones, right? So that's an interesting point, I think. And I'm not sure, so in order for them not to shoot these objects down, they have to be non-hostile. But them being non-hostile goes against the threat narrative. So which is it? Let me know your theories on that in the comments below. Let's see. Meanwhile, speaking about the threat narrative and false alien invasions and things like that, Ryan Bledsoe is chiming in. Son of Chris Bledsoe, Ryan says, as we get deeper into the awakening, the dark force is going to start ramping up the sci-fi alien narrative. The great deception unfolding. Now he's talking about the awakening, so it seems like he may be referring to the shift or the ascension, the age of Aquarius, whatever you want to call it, that many people think we are entering into. And I think that's a very optimistic way of looking at it, from studying many, many near-death experiences and other metaphysical experiences. That is definitely something that the other side is putting out there. That we are entering into this new age, this age of enlightenment, this age of ascension. And, does that correspond with the dark and gloomy stuff, World War III and so forth? Well, actually, it can, unfortunately, because sometimes the information that comes across from the other side says that we will have to go through a dark period in order to get to that light period. But accounts differ. Some say we have to go through the dark period, which could be interpreted as World War III or mass chaos of some sort. Whereas others say, no, that's actually not necessary. We can just ascend and start vibrating higher. We don't need to go through all of that dark stuff. So could that dark stuff be the false narrative that the powers that be want us to go through so they can consolidate their power even more? I don't know. But Ryan is saying beware of this sci-fi alien narrative that is going on. Now, he could also be referring to just simply an alien narrative at all, since his father is definitely having a more religious interpretation of what he is going through, even though he's dealing with, sometimes gray-like aliens and beings that profess to be occasionally, sometimes, goddesses of other religions. So, although also, the 1/3 of the original Holy Trinity, in this case, the Holy Mother. There's the Mother, the Father, and the Son, according to some of the information about the original Holy Trinity, and she would be the Holy Mother, the Divine Feminine, also other goddesses. So, talking about Chris Bledsoe's The Lady. A very, very interesting figure in all of this. Meanwhile, speaking of interesting, ancient peoples shaped the Amazon rainforest. That's right, this is from ScienceDaily.com. We often think of the Amazon rainforest as a vast expanse of nature untouched by humans. But a new study in Science suggests that it's not true. In fact, today's rainforest is shaped by trees that were cultivated by indigenous peoples thousands of years ago. Some of the tree species that are abundant in Amazonian forest today, like cacao, acai, and Brazil nut, are probably common because they were planted by people who lived there long before the arrival of European colonists, says Nigel Pittman, the Mellon Senior Conservation Ecologist at Chicago's Field Museum and a co-author of the study. Mellon Senior Conservation Ecologist. Any relation? Let me know, you Mellon experts, in the comments below. Very powerful families, always possible. The team made the discovery by overlaying data from more than 1,000 forest surveys on a map of more than 3,000 archaeological sites across the Amazon. By comparing forest composition at varying distances from archaeological sites, the analysis generated the first Amazon-wide picture of how pre-Columbian peoples influenced Amazonian biodiversity. The study focused on 85 tree species known to have been domesticated by Amazonian peoples for food, shelter, or other uses over the last several thousand years. The researchers found that throughout the Amazon basin, these species were 5 times more likely to be common in nature in mature upland forest than non-domesticated species. In some parts of the basin, domesticated species were found to be both more common and more diverse in forests closer to archaeological sites. It's fascinating stuff. Let me see. I may have already shared it with you. Here it is. The LiDAR scan of the Amazonian rainforest. They are uncovering these ancient ruins hidden by the jungle in the Amazon. And it could be these people that built these ruins, in some cases thousands of years ago, that cultivated the Amazon. And that it was, at one point much different than it may look today. I think that's super fascinating. It also might correspond to ayahuasca, because according to my first shaman, who was a Shipibo shaman. He still lives in the Amazon today from a line of shamans. His brothers are all shamans. His father's a shaman, etc. And he was saying that the legend was that gods had once lived among the peoples of the region. And they, at one point, decided to leave. And when they left, the people said, well, what are we going to do without you? And the gods gave them ayahuasca. And so a way to stay in contact with either the gods or the great beyond, or to get wisdom on their own. Either way, could it be these peoples that interacted with those gods or aliens or other dimensional beings? Or could these people be, related to Atlanteans or some higher culture of the ancient world, and maybe they were the gods that left? Either way, fascinating, fascinating stuff. I can't wait to learn more about it when information becomes available. Meanwhile, we've got UFOs to look at from Ursula K80. It's probably one of the clearest videos of what some of us are occasionally seeing. They seem alive, possibly sentient, like an octopus. I don't know. Let's see if does it look like an octopus? I don't know. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not going to say it, guys. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, very cool UFO video. I've shown similar videos before of these, craft. Sometimes they look like they're swimming around in the sky. And that's kind of what these look like here. We got a nice power up there. Just a beautiful, beautiful UFO video. What looks to me like a legit video. Of course, it's so hard to tell these days, but let me know what you think. Speaking of legit videos, I saw this the other day. I wasn't sure if I was going to share it with you. I didn't know how legit it was. It looks good, but we have this object here. I didn't like how the camera was tracking with the object. That kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. But hey, maybe it's motion activated, or maybe it's a wider camera and they have just zoomed in on it and now they are following the object. Either way, cool object, very similar to the ones we just saw. What made me really decide to share this with you was that the metadata of that video has been shared. For everyone who said this was a fake, the original witness posted a video with metadata. Now that is saying to replying to a fake comment. And here is the metadata for that video. I don't know enough about metadata to know what we're looking at here, but if you are, let me know your thoughts on that. And if you think that proves that that video, the one we just saw, is actually legit. Okay, so this is the, well, that's the shaky cam version of it. So maybe what we just saw was the stabilized version, and that's why it was tracking with the object. Yeah, don't know. That's obviously not great quality, but here is the possibly stabilized version of that object over Toledo. Never been to Toledo. I don't know. If they got cool UFOs over there every night, may have to give it a shot. Meanwhile, what about that whistleblower that was going to provide the coup de grace? Remember Matthew Pines saying that a month or two ago? Well, what does he have to say now? Is that whistleblower still in the works? Let's give a listen.
In a recent podcast, you spoke of someone who's going to come forward as kind of like the UAP coup de grace of the UAP denialists. Do you still believe that to be the case?
I've heard no information one way or the other since I made that statement. So I can't give like a update. It was a one-time, piece of information. So it could have decayed. It could be reinforced. It is what it is, right? It stands as it was. So yeah, this is, I think, but I mean, it's not.
Okay, he goes on and gives kind of a long-winded explanation, but he doesn't really add any new details. But yeah, we don't know the status of the coup de grace whistleblower. Now, could that be the Schellenberger whistleblower, the one that brought to us Immaculate Constellation? I don't know, but maybe we will find out at the November UFO hearing. I sure hope we'll get some more answers there. I'm very, very excited about that. But let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. We'd love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt. in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.